Noon session. The evening session begins at 7. It's compulsory to 11. Usually you can hear monks in the courtyard debating till after midnight. This is 6 days a week for 15 years. And everybody debates. There are 15 levels, 15 different levels of debate for different classes that you're going through. And there are also specific actions you make, like stamping your feet, clapping your hands, you're closing the door to the lower realms, you're severing their delusions with your wisdom, and you're drawing them up to the higher realms. So there are specific actions you make to imprint of you why you're debating. You're doing this to clear your own mind so you can benefit other beings. So your mind is completely clear. So anything can be debated, any topic, any person can be challenged. The Buddha himself can be challenged. Any text can be challenged. So maybe we'll just stop here. Maybe we'll introduce the text. What is the subject of debate today?
I don't know right now.
Huh?
So we may debate on the artistic motivations, generating the mind of enlightenment, the motivations.
야, 다 뒤로 가르쳐야지. 내가 성기식이요. 다 뭐인마다 다 나고 성기식이야. 사제 가지. subject 오잖아. 진이셔 예와셔. subject 니 use. 진이셔 예와셔 예와. 다 뭐인마다 뭐야 성기 진이.
So they're saying generating a mind of enlightenment has how many subjects? So it's saying there's two subjects. The one is about the meaning of the generating mind of enlightenment. The second one is the how many different kinds.
다들 대전성기 진이. 이백ချက်. 대전성기 따땡지기 싸워치가. 다 성기선다 성기나야 대전성기에 차다. 하자. 담아라. 대전성기 진이샤로. 진이샤. 대전성기 진이. 대전성기 진이 뭐니? 지다 성기 진이 뭐니? 레셔지 뭐니 배체? 대전성기 다 성기 계속 하는 거. 담아라. 다 대전성기 진이. 봐라. 다 대전성기. 성기나 대전성기. 현재처럼 대전성기. 야! 지처럼. 이보다 생기. 이보다 현재 생기 미쳐. 태미 생기 미쳐. 난 현재 생기. 태미 생기. 태미 생기라는 거 어디 찍어. 맨날 어떻게 매라서 태미 생기다. 야. 다 되나지? 현재 처럼 지으셔.
They're debating about the generating the mind of enlightenment, and it says because the first one is about the meaning of the mind of enlightenment. So the one who is sitting in a hot seat is saying that the meaning of generating mind of enlightenment means like to benefit all the sentient beings to achieve the ultimate happiness of Buddha. So that is called the meaning of generating the mind of enlightenment. So now they are trying to ask the question that is it necessary to generate the proper motivation of mind of enlightenment? Is it necessary that it has to be the higher path like a Mahayana practitioner? So he said yes. So that means is there anyone, even the lower practitioner, the one who is in like a Hinayana practitioner, do they have this kind of intention or the mind of enlightenment? So he's saying no, he don't have. So now they are debating about like they do have, because they do have the mind of enlightenment. So that means he's lost. That means he's not telling the truth. So he's lost about. So actually, this is how we debate actually, and they were debating about generating a mind of enlightenment, and the mind of enlightenment the meaning of mind enlightenment, that one who is answering said that to benefit all the sentient beings, to achieve the ultimate happiness, Buddha will be called as the meaning of the mind of enlightenment. So now they're debating about that. Is it necessary to generate a mind of enlightenment? One has to be in a higher vehicle. That means the Mahayana vehicle, because in the Buddha's teaching there are Hinayana and Mahayana. So he said yes, it has to be. So how about the Hinayana practitioner, the lower vehicle? Do they have those kind of intention or not? So he's saying no, but do they have a mind or not? So of course they have a mind because they are practitioner. So now they're trying to debate about proof that they have also the generating love and compassion, because the generating love and compassion itself is to generate the mind of enlightenment. So they try to prove that even the lower practitioner, like the Hinayana practitioner, do have the mind of enlightenment, though it may not be generating the mind of enlightenment to benefit all the sentient beings, but they do have their own the motivation to benefit, to achieve enlightenment. So that's why they are trying to debate right now. Yes?
I have a question. So there were three lamas and one sitting down. So did the three standing, did they have like one opinion or three opinions?
Three opinions. They try to use their own wisdom to prove that they have different way.
Is there a moderator or referee in this?
Well, there will be thousands of, actually, like the one who is sitting in the hot chair, he has to know everything in details. Everything has to be memorized, because there will be thousands of monks sitting and witnessing that person is telling the truth or not. And behind that person with a high throne, all the master will be sitting by side, and whether they are answering properly or not, whether they're questioning properly or not, so they have to judge that way.
What puts you in the hot seat?
Well, right now, because usually the master comes, but master is not feeling well, so that's why. So he is kind of capable to answer.
So normally the master is the one sitting there.
Master,
Everybody takes turns.
anybody,
Everybody.
take turns actually, anybody.
The debate seems like a very aggressive style of debating, and not sort of,
No
it's
peace.
fine, you talk about a topic. Is there
Well,
a reason for that? Or?
Because when you respond with your mind and speech, it reacts from your body. That means your whole body, speech, and mind is so deeply focused that it expresses through the movement. Because we call the meditations. One is called the post-meditation. We talked this morning. The second is called the analytical meditations. And this is the one way of analyzing, and is the part of meditation. And this will be the highest meditations, actually, because you are analyzing, you're using your wisdom, go deep into the object of meaning, object of meditations. You analyze and make sure that if you go this way, it contradicts, you have to prove it. If you go this way, so you are squeezing into that, making sure that whatever you practice, it should not be contradicted by any other things. So this is like you're sharpening. So that's why it's called like you have to understand before you seriously practice into it. So this is to like make sure everything.
So nobody's going to get violent, but they're very much wanted to have an opportunity to challenge the monk. So that's what's happening. They just want an effort to get in there to put their questions in there.
Yeah,
so they
because
get
they'll
very
be-
wrapped up in the debate.
they want to push it because like everyone has his own proper wisdom to think in a proper way to prove that has a different way to prove that, to reach that meaning. So they try to push that, I want to debate, and try to push each other to prove themselves.
One last question. And how does it conclude? I mean, do you prove something, or is this a process? And
Well,
concludes at a
it does,
time?
because sometimes if that person who cannot answer, they will prove you everything that when, especially when you go deeper into your the debate, they can prove you that with every logic and reason, because you cannot lose your point. At the same time, you have to protect that by if someone use any other meaning. So you have to give every reason to discard that. So you have to protect your point, and so you will be using your every wisdom to prove that, protect that. But the one who is questioning will use every wisdom, every angle to disprove that. So that means you have to know, and once you cannot prove that, you have to give up, and then they will like, sometimes people will make you like really red because they'll say all kind of word, you haven't learned anything, what have been you practicing, so you are forced to go back to your own room, and they will read that and try to make sure everything. So this is how that we study. So that means when you study, it means it's not like you read it, when you close, that's it. No. Understanding means it has to be like in your hand, that you see every nerves in your hand. That means every meaning has to shine, right, like in your palm. Yeah. That means there shouldn't be any kind of like the darkness, dark spot. We have with some master, we call that, this is a master who don't have any kind of darkness. That means any text, if you ask, there's no doubt about it.
But sometimes there is no answer. There is no right answer. You may have one belief, you may have another belief, but there is no answer. There's no truth.
It's not a matter of belief. It is the matter of reasoning and proving that. If you have a right answer or not, you have to prove it. It's not with the blind faith. No belief in that.
But my experience.
So there is always an answer.
My experiences may prove one thing, your experiences may prove another.
So we can argue about that.
We could argue all day.
Yeah, you can argue, because if you have a reason, then you have to prove that.
Through reason and logic.
To reason and logic. But if you cannot prove it, you have to shave your head.
Some things you cannot prove.
We don't have things we cannot prove.
So you avoid those questions?
No. There are ways of proving every question through reason and logic. A little more. We'll do a little more, okay? Get a little deeper. Oh, go Zugba.
Yeah, tell me. That's the yeah.
Some guilt.
Yawa Shiva, and the thing
The Yoshiva the land of Sharo.
I tell you, Aliyawa,
Yoshiva the Ladak, Shizu Mado, you're talking to Mogoni to Anakare, Hatchik, Digital going to
yeah.
So now, how many different kind of mind of enlightenment there is? So there, I'm trying to group there are like there are two different kind of like degenerative mind of enlightenment. There are two different kinds. One is with the reality. One is because of the causative effect. There are two different and actually there are like the example, and then with the relativeness, and then also like the generating the motivation. There are total like 21 each to divide the 21 like the generating mind of enlightenment. So they're reciting the text, so that in that it shows everything about the different kind of generating mind of enlightenment. So they are going by the example, like a generating mind will be like a gold, like a earth, or so they want to differentiate. What is the difference between the limitless, the mind of enlightenment, and then the great, the mind of enlightenment? So what is different? Is it contradict each other, or it has a relations? So is there any that the combinations of both? So he said that there is a mind of enlightenment which has a combinations of limitless compassion and the great compassion. So So they were debating about like generating a mind of enlightenment. Usually there are 21 different kind of the generating mind of enlightenment, and the mind of enlightenment 21. Even by giving an example, there are 21, and even by the reality of those, it has 21. So this it goes through the text. When you read that, it will show every details about it, and each and every the mind of enlightenment has to prove by debating. So now they're debating about how do you call the compassion, the great compassion, and the limitless compassion. So it has combinations of both, or it does contradict or not. So how many points it has? So they try to debate on that. And now that we're debating about the limitless compassion. So what is the meaning of limitless compassion? So they're saying that you wholeheartedly wishing everyone to overcome from the suffering is called the limitless compassion. So that's how they try to debate about it. And the great compassion is you wishing every sentient beings and environment to achieve the ultimate, or to overcome from the suffering. So they were debating in this topic.
What's the purpose of the slapping of the hands? What does that do?
Actually, the purpose, every movement has the beautiful significance. We raise this the right hand high up, which is to symbolize the sword of wisdom, and stretching your left hand or palm is this ocean of samsara, we call. That means all the sentient beings is here in the ocean of samsara. So when you clap, means the sword of wisdom is cutting down every ignorance and delusions and anger and hatred of all sentient beings. You pour down and then lifting up like this. So we like this. See? So that means you pour down, so leading every sentient beings from the cutting down the ignorance and delusions of every sentient beings and leading to the Pure Land. And you hit your left feet on the floor to close the door of the death. So you are clapping. And when we start, usually we have to generate, one must need the wisdom. So we use the word called the D. D is the seed of wisdom. So you have to use the word called like the D, like that. So then we ask the questions. And one may recite like a text, any text that one has studied, they will give only 2 or 3 words from that. And the person who is answering has to recognize those texts and in which topic that is taught and what kind of meaning that is. So that person who is answering has to know that 2 words from thousands of pages and zoom up into which point that we are debating, and in that how many subject it has. So that way that one has to recognize every point in there.
Sometimes there are only 4 answers, right? Lenji?
Yeah, 4
There's
answers.
only 4 answers you can give. Now, what are those 4 answers?
That means yes and no, pervasive, and contradictions, so some kind of like that actually, roughly, because in English there's no word for that.
What do you mean by pervasive? Excuse me, pervasive means what?
The pervasive means like for example, like a pervasive suffering, for example. Pervasive suffering means since we have this contaminated body, that means this contaminated body itself is a form of suffering. That means pervasive suffering. That is called we call it the suffering, suffering of change, and pervasive suffering. So the suffering of suffering is like when we have a stomach pain, at the same time headache, is called the suffering of suffering. And the sufferings of change is like when I'm hungry, if I eat food, then I think that I will relieve from hunger, and when I eat more, then it will change into suffering. So it will suffering of change, that means. Like if I go to sunshine thinking that I will relieve from cold, but if I sit too much, that will transform into suffering. So anything that we are relating in the contaminated phenomena, it is the suffering of change. And the pervasive suffering means once we have this contaminated body, this body itself is a form of suffering. That means we are meant to face the suffering. We cannot run away from suffering. So that's called the pervasive suffering.
What subjects are open to debate? Must they be related to the text that you've studied?
Yeah, major, like though we study for 25 years, and every text that each and every day we receive a teaching, we have to memorize, at least there will be 6 or 7 pages. We have to use that root text. Its commentary, at least it has about like a 7 or 8 or even 12 commentary on it. So
what are the texts about? What are they? What are the texts? 6 perfections?
The text is, we call the logic and reason, the Brahmana Vartika, and then the perfection vehicle, that is the Prashna Paramita. And then the third one is called the Madhyamika, the entrance to middle way, emptiness. Usually teach about the emptiness. And then we study about the cosmology or the physiology, the treasure of knowledge we call. Treasure of knowledge, it means Abhidharma. And then the last one is called the the Vinaya, which is the monastic discipline. So this the 5 major texts has like many commentaries. So in order to cover up this text, it takes 25 years to cover up. So this, like each and every word we will debate, everything. And major debate we usually debate about, like we have a part, like younger generation, they will mostly debate about the logic and reason. They will debate even about the colors difference, about the phenomena, everything. And when they go a little bit higher, for 5 years, they will mostly debate about the stages of the path, that how that when we practice, about engaging into the 6th perfection, that is like a generosity, holding morality, the concentrations of virtue, the wisdom, the patience, and concentrations, and wisdom. So we'll be debating on these issues and how that when we engage into this practice and how we can achieve and which kind of stage that one can achieve. So we will be debating, and it will like show every path in everything, because it will give you every logic and reason to prove, because the mind will go further deeper and deeper, and it will lead you that you will reach these kind of stages, so on.
So the first debate is about the color blue, right?
Color blue.
Okay, so why don't you challenge one of these people just for a little test here? Go ahead.
Is your blue the same as my blue?
So, go ahead.
We usually debate about like what is the difference between the, like for example, the red color and colors. So they will ask the question.
So ask them.
What is the difference between?
Debate with them.
So what is the difference between the red color and colors?
The red color is one of many colors.
So that's why, like, of course, it is. This is not the answer actually.
So. The difference. What's the difference?
What is the difference?
He said, "What's the difference
between a red color
and color?
And any other color?
Color.
Colors.
And color.
By training, the red color is a different electromagnetic emission frequency.
You mean 1,000 years ago, red wasn't red?
I'm saying that the labels are arbitrary and that they are applied for convenience to various reference points that have relation to human optical processing.
But isn't it that the red refers to a single point, whereas color refers, there's no point anymore?
How are you doing? Rinpoche likes that one. Okay. Rinpoche likes your reasoning.
I mean, that's the difference.
So that's why when we debate in like about the difference between the red color and colors. So we give a 3 point into that. That means if it is a red color, it has to be a colors, right? That becomes 1 point. But if it is a colors, it is not necessary to be a red colors. There can be white colors. And so that's how that, and then both is the red colors. So that's how that we try to differentiate and why to make, so we debate like that.
So are you asking how you know where red ends and other colors begin?
No, not like that.
Okay.
So similarly, we debate about the beings, like for example, like a black horse. So if I debate on you, like, is a black horse animal or color? So we have to debate that. Is it the black colors or animal? So that means if it is a color, then color is not a being. Color is not an animal.
Isn't it both? It's a
Color.
Are you allowed to argue on semantic
So now you have to understand about. See, now you have to understand about what is the meaning of colors, and also you have to understand about what is the meaning of beings. So if you don't have the understanding about the meaning of beings, one cannot know what being means. So you have to know that. So the being means it is the fabrications of many, like the 5 sense faculties. It's called beings.
Not necessarily, because some beings don't have
Yeah,
senses,
yeah.
some beings
But
aren't.
yeah,
Still beings.
generally. We are talking about the majority right now. See, because it is the combinations of the fabrications of 5 faculties, 5 sense faculties. So the color doesn't have those. So this way that we debate, and then we debate about the why it is called like a, like for example, generating mind of enlightenment. Like we usually go about generating mind of enlightenment is 3 different kind of mind of enlightenment as we speak about like the generating the mind of enlightenment like a shepherd like mind of enlightenment. The second is called the captain like mind of enlightenment, and third one is like the king like mind of enlightenment. So these like many practitioners, they will practice in a different way to benefit the sentient beings. Like for example, the shepherd, like how the shepherd, when they look after the sheep, the shepherd will make sure that the sheep reach the safe place and making sure no one left behind and will follow after that. So this is shepherd. So the practitioner will practice that may all the sentient beings reach enlightenment, making sure no one left behind, and they will follow after that. So with this intention that some practitioner will practice. And then the second one is called the captain, boatman. So like a captain, when they sail through the oceans, the captain and the crew will reach the other part of the ocean safely, sailing through the oceans, making sure no one is left behind. They will reach together. So some of the practitioners will practice that may all the sentient beings, including oneself, reach enlightenment, sail through the ocean of samsara, reach enlightenment all together safely. So that is called the captain like mind of enlightenment. And then third one is like the king like mind of enlightenment. That means like in order to benefit the beings within the country, like if one become a king within the country or the world, then one can willingly benefit anyone willingly. So that way, some of the practitioners will make sure that first of all, may I be able to be a king or the Buddha or enlightenment, so that I can willingly benefit all the sentient beings. So this is called a king, like mind of enlightenment. So this way, like the practitioner we'll try to generate in a different way to practice and to benefit others. So that's how we debate.
So a question about debating. I mean, many of us have been at universities, and we know professors, when they come into a debate, it isn't about learning stuff, and it's not about disproving each other. It's about ego and showing who has the biggest ego quite often. Does that not come up here? I mean, who is debating here, and what is really going on, and what is that emotion being put into it, and what does it do to people the way we do the debating? I don't know if you have any ideas about that.
Well, see, that's a big difference, like in a school or college or university and the monastic, because like the more in monastery is the more you learn, the more you study. It's a saying that the less you know. People that seems less you know, and the more you have knowledge, people become more tiny. Means they don't want to harm anyone. They become so humble and so small that they don't want to bother anyone. So this is something, the transformations of their practice by generating good heart, love and compassion because of their practice. But whereas in like a university or things like that, the more you learn, it creates a lot of ego. So this one I cannot say whether how we can help those person, but yeah, this is the difference actually.
A lot of the debates seem to be debating that the writings, the texts, are learning that you know them accurately.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they're correct. Or if they're correct.
Is it possible that they are not correct?
If you can prove it, it has to be thrown out.
But if everybody suddenly realizes this isn't right anymore, this may have been good.
Then change it.
Yeah, you have to change it. That's why even it's a Buddha's word, his own word, said it doesn't mean that some higher being has given you a teaching. That means you have to follow. Doesn't mean that you have to follow. That's it. No. That's why even Buddha said you have to check. Like when you take a gold from the mine, you have to first hammer it, melt it, refine it, and make it pure. Similarly, any teachings that you receive, you have to check yourself, analyze it, and anything that it help you to be a better person, if it help you to generate love and compassion, to bring happiness inside, then you apply. Otherwise, anything, even it may be the highest practice, but if it doesn't make you happy, or in fact it make you worse, you can leave any time. That's why in our tradition is there's no missionary. You are not forced to change or transform or convert. Everything is its own individual will to follow. So we never encourage. In fact, we have to encourage their own path, to follow their own path.
But it is possible that the writings have changed, yes?
Well, let me give you an example. Like in the Abhidharma text, it says the earth is flat. Okay. Well, according to science, the earth is not flat.
Right.
But now there's new science coming that says that there's it's supposed to be a golden earth. There's actually a golden gravity disk they're beginning to talk about. So maybe the Buddha's right. Maybe there is a flat or a golden disk. He may have been not talking about this earth, you know. So there are many things we have to check on very closely.
So when you're debating this topic, you go to external texts. What can you rely on for your demonstration of
Everything's
practice?
memorized.
Everything's memorized, but if you were referring to new science, this new science is done solely within your community, or it's pulled from outside of your community?
So His Holiness the Dalai Lama has meetings every 2 years with the astrophysicists and people like that. He's had meetings here at Stanford and also back east at universities on the discoveries of modern science and Buddhism, to see how they're similar.
Okay.
If science proves us wrong, we have to change.
Is that the sole source of new material into the text? Or
Pretty much. No, there might be a new commentary from time to time, giving a fresh aroma to a text. But literally, there's no new material. The mind is finished in Buddhism.
So you don't go to the local library yourself and grab all these astronomy books that you can find?
No.
Or Google.
So because in Tibetan Google is all here, not in the internet. It's all here because they have to like memorize every text. like especially our chanting master, he can memorize like 2 pages a day and has remembered for their life. So it's the highest capacity. All the text, all the commentary has to be memorized.
But there's still a limit to a person's ability. I mean, you could learn 5 pages a day for your whole life. You still will not know everything.
Yeah, one life is not enough to learn everything. That's
however, if you become Buddha, you have omniscient mind. And that mind permeates all phenomena, 3 great universes to the 6th power, the size of this one. It's simultaneously aware of all phenomena.
But you would not be on this planet.
No, you would be on this planet. You're on this planet. But that's what their mind permeates, all phenomena. I mean, that's unimaginable.
And is this proven? And is that proven, or is it?
Well, they were challenged, put forth to the Buddha like this. Numerous instances where he would, like where a man wanted to be a monk, and everybody said he can't be a monk, no positive potential. But before the Buddha said yes. He says that in a previous life you were a flea, and there was a big flood. And during this flood you took refuge on a pig turd. And during the flood you washed around a stupa, a Buddha stupa 3 times. And that gave you the positive potential to be a monk this life. So he could see that. But you and I can't see outside this room.
But it cannot be proven. The Buddha could be making it up.
Well, if you take that view, then you have a big problem coming, okay? Because there's nothing to take refuge in.
Yeah, because when we take refuge, one must know why we have to take refuge. Like, for example, that we usually take refuge is because whatever we have, like the power, the wealth, the positions, the look, relatives, the body, it is all we have to leave behind. We have to leave behind because the birth, aging, sickness, and death is it is confirmed. That means it is set with our life. We cannot, no matter what, we cannot run away from this. So behind that, like other things are all stuff, we call stuff. That means we can balance, we can control that, but not this. So in order to overcome that balance, only with the guidance of those beings, like if you really try to transform within inside, because in order to transform within inside, we have to rely on something that who has an experience. So that's why we call the teachings, like a Buddha, like enlightened beings. So this way, when we rely,
that still means a belief that is true.
Well, we have experience.
Study.
Maybe
that's
you
why
have experience with that being.
We have
that
to study.
The being knows all your thoughts. They know everything. They seem to know everything simultaneously. So it's not just a belief. You actually have an experience with a certain being that you begin to trust them and have faith in their mind due to the events in your life while you're accompanying them, that you immediately just accept them as your teacher.
Yeah, because the master, they are reborn again and again. They can immediately know where to be born and which part of that if they are born, they can be more beneficial. So they can change, take another form of rebirth willingly. So that means they have the ability to change their body to be born willingly. So there is a death and rebirth. There is law of cause and effect. So because about a believing, there's whether we believe or not, there is a law of cause and effect. We don't have to believe. It is set up. Whether we believe or not, death and impermanence is set up. We don't have to believe. And we don't have to believe about the emptiness of every phenomena. That is the fact. So in order to overcome that, only the transformation from within inside, that's the only way we can face that. It's not a matter of believing. It is the fact.
You can come argue with us, okay? You come to India, you can argue, you can debate with us, okay?
So.
Yeah, I think, go ahead.
So, these folks have to be in here with 4.
I think, did you come? Wait a minute.
I'm happy they can share their wisdom. And thank you all for coming.
One minute. Okay.
So you're always welcome to visit our monastery. Then you can see how people debate and how the life is different. Life is absolutely different. Life is simple. We have only 2 sets of clothes our whole life. 1 plate, 1 mug, 1 spoon, and a whole bunch of book. And life is simple.
G-O-G-G-L-E. I think you only believe like this. I think your life is still
G-O-O-G-L-E.
The problem with some of these arguments is that it evidently takes 25 years to learn their axioms.
So you guys was education by public humiliation.
I do like the motivation you get from the debate. You'd be encouraged to work very hard.
Thank you.
Ning? Coming? Ning?
Peace. Happiness.
Heidi?
But if you don't start somewhere, you can't talk about it at all.
Thank you. This is remember.
Thank you.
Heidi, please come. You make it happen. Thank you
Thank you. Your long life.
for your good health.
Your health is good. Happiness. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. See you again.
So we're offering these to everyone at Google.
I want to have to.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is great.
We'll take pictures together. But we'll take pictures together.
Okay.
Come, thank you.
Take pictures. Come, give them another Rinpoche.
Tenzin, over there. Lobsang là. Yeah.
How's that?
I can take together 2. Come down.
Yeah, come down and go make it longer. Go down there. No, go down there. It's okay. Come down there. I just need an angle.
Yes, yes.
What I believe is that I don't understand where they're starting from.
Thank you. Thank you.
A round of applause to
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. See you in the future. Thank you.
I hope something comes out.
We'll see.